strength, God. We thank you for watching over, protecting us as we travel on the dangerous highways. God, you've been so good to us, God. Hallelujah. We give your name the praise tonight, God. Knowing without you, God, we can't do nothing, but everything belongs to you, God. We humble ourselves down before you, God, that you can use us and get the glory out of our life. God, we thank you for everything, God. Thank you for everyone that's here tonight, God, and those that's on the way, God. Hallelujah. We thank you for our pastor, God. We thank you for Mother and all the ministers, all the deacons, saints, and friends. We give you glory tonight. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. Praise the Lord. If you have your Bibles, you can turn with me. Psalms 29. First and second verse. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Praise God. We thank God for his word tonight. And we thank God for everyone that's in the building tonight. We come to lift them up. We come to give God praise tonight. But he been good to us. Been better to us than we've been to ourselves. Praise our God. Hallelujah. At this time, if you would just step out of your seat, it's monument time. And if you would just greet your friend or your neighbor, let them know that God loves them tonight. This time is praise and worship time. If you continue to give God glory and give him praise and give him the honor during his name. Praise God.
Amen. Clap those hands one more time for Jesus. Hallelujah. The song says, I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. God will bless your name. Hallelujah. Glory to your name. Help me worship on tonight. I will bless thee, O Lord.
who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. Yes, that's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. One more time, you're perfect. You are perfect in all of your ways. Yes, God, you are. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. 'Cause you're a good, good Father. I hear you. That's who you are. Thank you, Father. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. That's who I am. Thank you, Father. That's who I am. That's who I am. You're good, good Father. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. Thank you, praise the Lord. Praise God. Clap your hand, praise God. Give God praise for our speaker tonight. Is Elder Will Coleman. Give him a hand. Strong man of God as he presents himself tonight.
Good evening, Monument. Has the Lord been good to anybody besides me? Amen. Amen. Give honor to God who's the head of my life, our wonderful pastor. Let's clap our hands for the man and God. We will turn with me very quickly to the book of St. John, the 10th chapter, a very familiar passage, St. John 10. I'm just going to read one verse for the sake of time, which is verse 10. St. John 10 and 10. And I'm not even there yet, so give me a second. All right. There we go. If you got it, say I got it. If you don't, say hold up. All right. St. John 10, verse 10 says, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." Father, we thank you for your word tonight. We ask that you would speak to us, Lord. We need you, and we can do nothing without you. In Jesus' name, amen. Before you take your seat, if you would repeat my topic, stop thief. Stop thief. Amen. Have a seat. It's been a very, in a good way, emotional day. God's been showing me some things, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to navigate this. But earlier in this text, Jesus is talking about the fact that he is the way and he's the door. And he says that anybody that tries to lead you outside of what I'm teaching you, they're a thief and they're a robber. Now, a thief, that word thief just means a stealer. So we expect people who steal, that's how they get their name. And we understand that that our adversary, I'm getting ahead of myself already. The robber is not only is he taken from you, but that word means that he's like ganging up or ambushing you. Anybody ever felt ambushed in your life before? So the Bible says that the thief he's a thief and a robber, and sheep do not hear. That word hear means to understand or to get audience. So what happens is, if there's things that's happening to us from the thief, the enemy of our souls, the accuser of the brother, the Satan, that serpent, that dragon, we know who we're talking about, right? So he's doing things, and God's allowing him to have his day right now because we understand that all things are working together for our benefit. So the thing is, he's a thief and a robber. We don't realize that when things are going on survived the accident, but somehow he got my joy. He got my peace. He got my endurance. He got my testimony. He's after the thief. So he does it in stages. It talks about stealing, killing, but then ultimately he wants to destroy. But I found out in my own experiences that sometimes he doesn't have to do much work. If he steals one thing, he can. It's like those wind-up toys. Maybe you remember that. You can wind the toy up and let it go. And just, So he puts a lie in your head, and he lets it go. Now this is all leading to warfare. But he puts a lie in your head, and then you just go off all over the place. Your imagination running wild. The Bible tells us that we have to cast down imagination. Y'all all right? All right. So in verse 4, let me give you this an example. In verse 4, if you look at verse 4, it says Jesus is speaking. He says, and when he, speaking of himself, he puts forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, and they know his voice. We know God's voice. Jesus has brought us out, and I skip verse 3 for the sake of time, but in verse 3 he says that he brought us out, which means he opened the gate because he is the door, he is the gate. He brings us out, but then now he has to lead us. So when he's leading, so if we're here, he brought us out. So he was with us here, he brought us out, and now it's time to lead. So it looks like he's turning his back to us. And the enemy comes in right there at that moment and lies and says, see, he's leading you like everybody else left you. He's saying that he's turning his back, he's ignoring you, he doesn't hear you at all. And the other thing about it is, and forgive my calmness, but the other thing is, if his back is to me now, he's also still speaking. And I'm supposed to listen for his voice because we're the sheep. So sheep can hear very well. And they don't see as well as they hear. Sheep have no depth perception. In other words, if I get to the edge, I don't know how deep that is. And how many times have we been trying to lead our own way, going by our sight and not listening to the voice of God? And we're going by our sight and we don't know how deep that situation is. You don't know how deep that relationship is going to take you away from the promise of God. So we have no depth perception. So it's important that the sheep can hear. So again, the enemy is lying to you, telling you that God has abandoned you. He's turned his back to you. But he's actually leading you. And I'm so glad that he's leading me because he's leading me out of sickness into health. He's leading me out of depression into joy. He's leading me out of debt into wealth, into a prosperous place. But he's leading, but if you misinterpret him turning his back, oh my God, then you and listen to the enemy's lies, then you will get discouraged and you will get down. But understand that in this thing of warfare, you got to hold on to your 3 P's. I'm getting ahead of myself, but just work with me, just bear with me tonight. Because what happens is when let me go. Sorry, calm down. I got too much to say in 10 minutes. Right? The time clock always messes with me. All right. So Jesus is leading, and we are sheep. So his voice. Oh man, I got too much to preach. His voice is a still small voice. You remember when Elijah in 1 Kings was in the cave, and he was so depressed, and he was tired, and he was ready to quit and throw in the towel. And the Bible says that he put himself in a dark cave. How many times do we get upset about life and how things are not going the way we think they should? And we put ourselves away in a dark cave and we do dark things with dark people in dark places. Anybody ever been there before? So what did God say? The Bible says that there was an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. The Bible says that there was a wind, a strong wind. It was breaking rocks. God wasn't there. And then there was a fire, and he wasn't in the fire. He was in a still, small voice. So that takes me back to the sheep, because if God is leading and I'm listening for his voice, I'm the sheep. And there's distance between his voice, because he's a tall human and I'm a little sheep and I'm down here. But I can't see that well in front of me. But if I turn my ear like this, if I keep my eyes that way and my ear inclined into his voice, I can hear exactly what he's saying and I can move a little bit further. And he's a sheep, he's a good shepherd, and he's not going to lead me anywhere but green pasture. So all I got to do is keep my ear up, keep my eyes up, keep our eyes on Jesus and follow that voice that I'm hearing. Don't be discouraged by God's back. Remember Moses? Moses said, I want to know you better. I want to be closer to you. And God said, I'll let you see my backside. When you can see God's back, that means He's leading you somewhere that you can't get yourself there. You ought to take 20 seconds to just thank God for leading you from where you were to your future. Because your future is sure. Your future is solid. And what God wants to do is sure. Because His word does not return void. His word cannot return void. It's not going to come back empty. If He said, it's going to happen. Lord, have mercy. I've been following the voice of God as a sheep, and I love it because even as I'm a sheep and I'm following God, sometimes we stumble, sometimes we mess it up, sometimes we jack everything up. Maybe it's just me. I'll talk about me. Sometimes I just don't get it right. Even though in my heart of hearts, I really want to be right. I want to do things right. I want to get there. I want to get towards that promise. I want to get out of debt. I want to get free. And whatever the thing is, hallelujah. And I'm so glad that God is patient. I'm so glad that He's loving. I'm so glad that He's forgiving. And because He is, and He understands our frame, He remembers that we are but dust according to Psalm 103. I thank God that as far as the east is from the west, He has removed our transgressions from us. He's covered us with an everlasting love. Anybody understand that God loves you regardless? That you cannot change the love of Jesus? He loved you so much He gave His Son on the earth. He died for you. He can't take that back. He doesn't want to take it back. He died for you, and that's sealed. You're sealed with Him. The Bible says He puts His seal on us. And so before I take my seat, because my time is evaporating, I just want to let you know that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. And Lord God, so the way we keep Him from stealing, the warfare, how this ties into warfare, we're listening to the voice of God, we're following Him, but we have to open up our mouths. Do you not realize that our spiritual weapons, according to 2 Corinthians, are related to our mouth and our speaking? So I'm going to give you the 3 P's, and I'm going to take my seat because I ain't got time to hoop this out. The first P is a proclamation. Out of your mouth, you have to proclaim what's going to happen. You have to prophesy your own future. You can say prophesy or proclamation. Number 2 is that you have to pray. The Bible says that believe the things that you have prayed for, and ye shall have them. And the last thing, before I go to my seat, is that you've got to praise. You've got to praise. Don't let the enemy silence you. You can't afford to be silent in this season. You've got to declare what's going to happen, prophesy it. You've got to pray and believe God's word, and then praise Him because it's already done.
Praise God. Now we're going to ask the choir if you will come on up and give God some more praise. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. He's worthy of all the praise. Hallelujah. He woke us up this morning, kept us clothed in our right mind. Praise God. We have the strength to walk. Hey, God, I thank you. Glory. Hallelujah. God is good. He's worthy to be praised. Hallelujah. We need to give Him the praise tonight.
started a sermon on Sunday, and I want to finish the sermon, even though I'm not finishing the series, I want to finish the sermon. Second Chronicles 14, verses 11 through 15. Praise the Lord. That is the best. That's such a beautiful voice of praise and worship. She could have kept singing too. We just in that mode, let everybody do something else there. Second Chronicles 14. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God, and said, the Lord is nothing with thee, but to help, whether with men or with them that have no power. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on thee, and in thy name we go against this multitude. O Lord, thou art our God, and let not man prevail. And notice what he says against thee, because it's not we're fighting in our own name, we're fighting in your name. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. And Asa and the people that were with him pursued them till Gerar, and the Ethiopians were overthrown, and they could not recover themselves, for they were destroyed before the Lord and before the host, his host, and they carried away very much spoil. And they smote all the cities around about Gerar, for the fear of the Lord came upon them. And they spoiled all the cities, for there was exceeding much spoil in them. Worse, they smote also the tents of cattle, and they carried away sheep and camels in abundance, and returned to Jerusalem. If you don't mind, tell somebody, break this curse. Break this curse. Praise the Lord. The beginning of this message is ultimately dealing with certain realities. The first reality is that when we get into certain things predicated on the assignment of God or the assignment of self, actually determines the outcome of what is happening. And so if God leads you there, then the result is going to be in your favor, because you represent the Lord, as long as we remain obedient to his voice. The moment that we become disobedient to his voice, then there are other things that happen, or other things that take place. And so Asa, when he comes in with the conviction of just completely obeying God to the fullest. This is why point number one addresses just our responsibility is to obey the Lord. The second aspect, dealing with verses 3 through 5, reveals to us that we have to act on his word. And the reason being is because after God gives us responsibility, then breaking curses and also creating blessings is actually connected to acting on what he said. The scripture says in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge. But I would like to add emphasis to that, and that is the people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, or either the lack of acting on the knowledge. Because if you have the information but you don't act on the information, then the scripture says to us in James 3 that faith without works is dead. James 2, faith without works is dead, being alone. And so acting on everything that the Lord has spoken for us to do is key for all of us. Asa realizes at this point then that he has to act on the promises of God and to operate within that conviction. Now let's get to point number 3. the vision God gave you. Do the vision that God gave you. What happens here is this, and I want to kind of merge a couple of things here, and if you would, 2 Chronicles 14, verses 6 through 8, let's take a look at it. And speaking of Asa now, after he's torn down all of these idol gods and groves and molten images, the scripture says in verse 6, and he built fenced cities in Judah, for the land had rest, and he had no war in those years before, because the Lord had given him rest. Therefore, he said unto Judah, let us build these cities and make about them walls and towers and gates and bars, while the land is yet before us, because we have sought the Lord our God. We have sought him, and he hath given us rest on every side. So he built and prospered. One more verse, and then we'll break it all down. And Asa had an army of men that bare targets and spears, out of Judah 300,000, and out of Benjamin that bare shields and drew bows 280,000. All of these were mighty men of valor. One of the things about the blessing that is on your life when you make a covenant with God to denounce the curse is that you can operate within the greatest commitment of faith to bring about vision that is connected to your life. But when God blesses each and every one of us, and this is key, but when God blesses each and every one of us, with that blessing that comes a protection from people that would desire to do some ill against us in some kind of way. And this is why when we are even building our vision, we understand that in obedience to the Lord will give you a season in your life of rest so that you can build the vision that he's given you. And this is why one of the greatest attacks that can be on a person during a time of God's favor is procrastination. Because the moment that you start waiting to start is the problem of you eating up your time of rest as God has given you a certain season of rest to accomplish and to achieve many of the things that he has ordered and ordained for you to do. And so a part of curse breaking is having faith to go after vision and advancing your productivity. And so when God is speaking, when he's challenging, when he is provoking, all right, woke everybody up, when he's challenging and when he's provoking, then immediately when the Lord is doing that, we have a unique responsibility, and that is to move in the greatest of faith. Having this understanding that because I am blessed, then the Lord is going to continue to bless what I do. If there's a curse on my life and I realize that I'm operating in a curse, the thing that I have to do is be honest with myself and say whether I brought it on myself or whether it came from my family or my ancestry or something connected to where I've gotten involved in something. I've got to denounce that curse in my life. Can't act like it's not there when I know that it's there, and so that I can address it and then move in faith. If you look at Genesis, the 12th chapter, Genesis, the 12th chapter, the first through the 4th verse, the Lord is speaking to Abram, and while he's speaking to him, he is sharing with him, he says, I need you to come out of your familiar environment. I want you to look at this in the first verse because, and I'll deal with 2 through 4 in a second, but I think the first verse is something that is beneficial for all of us. He says, and the Lord said unto, and the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, Think about it. And from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto the land that I will show thee. Now I'm going to back up just for a second, and I want to look at that again. And that is that I'm going to add an additional word to it. And when I add this additional word to it, let's see if it gives a little bit more clarity. He says, listen, he says, now I'm going to bless you, but if I'm going to bless you, I need you to disconnect from the curse of your country, from the curse of your kindred, and from the curse of your father's house. It is a mindset, Abram, that you are in, that if you're going to receive the blessing, you have to disconnect from the very thing that is causing a curse to be in or upon your life. Look at what he says in verse 2 and 3. He says, watch this, he says, and I will make of thee a great nation. I will bless thee. I will make thy name great. Thou shalt be a blessing. I will bless them that bless thee. I will curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. All right, let's look at it. All right, so now the Lord then has said, based on verse 1, when you disconnect from 3 degrees of cursing that is in your life, it is in your country, it is in your kindred, and it is in your father's house. When you disconnect from that, I'm going to give you 7 degrees of blessing. The 7 degrees of blessing, because when the Lord speaks to him, he's put 7 blessings on him from him disconnecting from country, kindred, and family. Why? Because the Lord says, I'm getting ready to replace all that. I am going to be your new country. I am going to be your new kindred. I am going to be your new father's house. He says, and first blessing. He said, the first blessing I put on you, and that is, I will make of thee a great nation. Stop. He's talking to a man that does not have children. He says, but I am going to make you a great nation. He says, and then on top of that, I'm going to bless you. He says, I'm not putting any limitation on the blessing. I just want you to know that I'm putting supernatural favor on your life. The next thing he says, I'm going to make your name great. In other words, I'm not just going to cause you to be blessed because I put blessing on you. He says, but not only will I be known because of your obedience, but you are going to be known because of your submission to me. I'm going to make your name great. He says, and thou shalt be a blessing. I don't want you walking around blessed and you can't be a blessing to other people. He says, so here I'm going to make you a blessing. He says, then I will bless them that bless thee. When a person looks at you and they recognize that my favor is on you, it is wise for them to stay connected to you. So anyone that connects with you, I'm going to bless them just because they connect with you. And then he puts them in the middle of all of these blessings. He says that there is another blessing that is derogatory, a negative to anybody that's trying to come against you. I am going to curse each individual. The blessing is for them, but the curse is for him. I'm going to curse him, each individual that now wants to put a curse on your life, to put some word curse, negative statements, derogatory things against you. And this is why even on Tuesday night, one of the things that I was trying to make sure that I explained in Proverbs 17 and 13, that the moment that somebody rewards you evil when you have done good to them, God says you don't even have to fight this battle. He says there is an evil or a curse that is going to be on their house forever because you don't touch the anointing of God. Then he turns back around and says, he says, not only will I curse him that curseth thee, he says, but in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now what is he talking about? This blessing that he put on Abraham was not a 2-generation blessing, was not a 4-generation blessing. It was a forever generational blessing. He says that the blessing is going to be on everybody that connects with the covenant that I am making. Preach with you. He He says then, look at, if you would, look at Genesis of the 22nd chapter. Genesis of the 22nd chapter. This is after the Lord has challenged Abraham. This is after he challenged him and said, I'm going to see if you're willing to sacrifice thy only son. And when Abraham had passed the faith test, the scripture says it in verse 16, he says, by myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed, and as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand that is on the seashore. He says, all the nations are going to be blessed. He says, everything that is connected to you, possessions, and when it comes to increase of everything that is connected, he says, I'm putting this blessing on your life. Why? Not only because of your obedience, but the fact that you did not withhold anything from me. Now, the obedience is doing what God said. Not withholding it is making sacrifice in a time when you have limited to no resources. What are you talking about, Pastor Williams? Here it is that God says, I want thine only son. Now here it is that Abraham had two children. He had Ishmael and he had Isaac. But God only identified Isaac as the son of promise because you are now surrendering thine only son. He says, you have a son, God help me to say this right, you have a son called Ishmael, but you did not get with Hagar because of love and because of obedience to me. You got with Hagar because you were listening to your fear. He says, but when you connected with Sarah, he says that you locked into your faith and you trusted the fact that even if she only had one egg left, that egg was going to be fertilized because it was connected to promise that I had ordained and spoken for your life. Everybody, if you don't mind, look at your neighbor and tell them, go after your vision. We break word curses by moving against them. If we don't act, the curse will stay. In Genesis 35, verses 16 through 21, there's a situation with Jacob and Rachel, where Rachel is getting ready to have her last child, and she's pushing him out. And while she's pushing him out, she realizes that death is coming upon her. So while she's pushing this child out, the scripture says that she names the child based on what she is experiencing, and she says that his name is going to be Ben-Ani. Now this is the problem, because this means son of my sorrow, which means that she put a curse on his life because of what she was experiencing, and she says that this is going to be his name. Watch what happens. When she puts that on his life, her husband says that that's not going to be. He says his name is not going to be sorrow for the rest of his life. His name is going to be son of my right hand. So I'm going to keep the pen, but I'm going to put Jamin on the end of it. So therefore, it's not going to be a sorrow blessing. It is going to be a right hand, left hand blessing, where I am going to cause favor to come on him. When the moment, my point is this, the moment that a curse tries to get on you, the moment that you see it in the atmosphere, start speaking against it, start acting against it, and let the enemy know this thing is not going to rest upon my life, and it's not going to stay. Proverbs 18 and 21, come on, William, that death and life is in the power of the tongue. Come on here. The Bible says in 1 Samuel, the 17th chapter, verse 28, that David's brother Eliab, the scripture says that when David came down there to find out what was going on, Eliab said that you got a prideful spirit and you got wickedness in your heart. And in verse 30, David said, you know what? I'm not going to even let that get in my spirit. I'm going to talk to somebody else. Let me tell you something. When you get to the point that you start recognizing even family is trying to put something in your spirit, you block that joker and you tell family, I ain't prideful and I ain't arrogant. I just know that I got a faith that you ain't got.
Thank you, Jesus. Praise God. No one wants to come over prayer tonight. Hallelujah. We ask that. Praise God. You will raise your hand if you need an envelope. Praise God. Praise God. God is good. Praise God. If you need all of it, if you will raise your hand, praise God. God, she will be your way. Let me have a hand up here. Praise God. If you will bring an envelope, please. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else need an envelope? Just raise your hand so we can see who you are. Praise God. Praise God. We ask that you stand and bring your offering. Amen. Amen. Praise God. And we have announcements. Praise God. Sunday morning, 9 o'clock service. Praise God. Sunday afternoon at 6 o'clock. Amen. Amen. You know, everyone in the place. Praise God. Hallelujah. Our pastor is a busy man of God. He's not lazy and he's not slack concerning that word. And we know that because we've been sitting under the word of God. That's what we need, praise God. We've been eating good, praise God. So let's do what we're supposed to do, praise God, on this anniversary. Let's make them feel good. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise God. And if I'm correct, on October the 25th, Pastor will be going to Pastor Wilson's anniversary, and all those that can go with him, praise God. And I just want to say tonight, happy birthday to me today. dismissed. Amen.